What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here. It is the day after the night before Tottenham have lost 7-2 to Bayern Munich at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm absolutely fuming. It's been like literally the worst day today. I've been dreading this video all day. We decided not to do a player ratings video because just all the
when you do 7-2, what can you give?
Exactly, you know what I mean? It's just going to be too demoralising. So we're just going to do a little match review for you today. And just try kind of dissect what happened last night. So what do you make out of it?
I mean, yesterday was an absolute shit show in terms of tactical management, in terms of team spirit, in terms of organisation, individual mistakes. I think the system was all wrong, and I think it all just culminated in that coming out with that kind of result. And I think it's well documented. In the first half an hour, we did start the game well. I thought it
was our best football this season.
But it's very interesting seeing Musa Sissoko come out today with what he said. And he said, talking about the formation that we played, the diamond formation. And he said that in this formation, we are getting tired way too quickly. And, that is why when the later the game goes on, the more we play this formation, the more tired we're getting. And it's clearly costing us. So that's something Pochettino has to look at, because how we were so compact in that midfield that all Bayern had to do every single time was just play it off to the other side, play it right. Every time they had an option. We never had the control when they weren't, except for obviously the first bit of the game. We never had control when they were on the ball. And we couldn't get that hold of it, and it was just compounded later on in the game when we brought on Eriksen, we brought on Lucas, we brought on Lamela.
We ripped out our whole midfield, Ndombele and Winks, and then they really just steamed
then it was
through
so
us. Then it was just a free for all in the middle there.
Mm-hmm. Which was. I mean, obviously it's hard to blame. It's easy to say, it's all Pochettino's fault, but like when you're chasing a game, you're not going to bring on attacking players.
Look. There is no excuse to capitulate like they did, and that is the players. That is 100% the players on the pitch. To concede 3 goals in 5 minutes, that's an absolute joke.
Capitulated.
You're a bloody Champions League. Got to the Champions League final last year, and you're conceding 3 goals in 5 minutes. It's an absolute joke.
It's even when say it goes to 4-1, or even when it went to 5-2. It's like, okay, I get it. There's still like 10 minutes left. Maybe we can get something out of it. But sometimes you just have to. Can't slow the game down and just see the game out and not be totally embarrassed like we were. Otherwise, you're at risk of what happens. And I understand, sometimes
players like Jan Vertonghen completely gave up last night, and that's inexcusable.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
it
really
embarrassing.
is.
It was embarrassing.
Jan Vertonghen looked like he lost about 5 yards of pace last night. He was getting rinsed by Gnabry, and so was Toby. To be fair, Both of them got embarrassed last night.
But I thought the fullbacks were more to blame.
Aurier, my God. How many times have I backed up Aurier? How many times have I said, this guy's a good right back, he stamped out all this shit out of his game. He goes and gets sent off stupidly last game, and then he performs like that. 3 goals.
Should have been sent off.
Should have been sent off with that disgraceful stamp, 2-footed stamp.
He jumped into him. It was ridiculous. He jumped on, I don't know who it was, but he jumped on the player, literally 2-footer. Yeah, Alaba. Literally, I don't know, it was like a Cristiano Ronaldo leap landing right onto him. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. And then Rose should have given away a penalty. Absolute stone.
I don't know how that wasn't given. Because he was like about to call it for a penalty, and then he changed his mind for some reason.
And also, I could see that coming a mile away. Rose was so obviously going to dive in there. I was like, you could see it. And then Coman could see it. And I feel like, for me, Rose, he had a couple good games after a poor start to the season, but he starts to frustrate me as well a bit, because I feel like I don't know if he's ever going to be as good as he used to be. And I feel like defensively, I don't know if he's up to it.
What's Rose supposed to think? The club tried to sell him in the summer. He was our best left back, and the club tried to sell him. For what? For what? Why did we try and sell him?
We don't think he's good enough. He's not committed.
Why are they trying to sell him on the last day of the transfer window when we've got no one to replace him?
I agree with that. But it's not like he was desperate to stay, apparently. I don't know what the truth is with Rose anymore.
You've got all these players that are wanting to leave or that we're trying to get rid of, and nothing's got done. And this is why we're in this big mess right now.
Look, after a result like we had yesterday, it's clearly there are major issues in the squad when things are happening. But
that's what the split is in the camp of players that Pochettino tried to sell, or Pochettino, or players that they wanted to leave that are still here. You know what I mean? That's the split in the camp.
But what? But who's to blame for it?
Who's to blame?
Yeah.
I think, all in all, at the moment, last night, everyone was to blame. There's no question about it. Every single player was to blame. The manager was to blame. Everyone was to blame. But I think ultimately, the blame lies with Enoch. It's got to. We got to a stage where it got to the last season at White Hart Lane. We were better than Liverpool. And all we need to do was invest and get to that next stage, and we didn't. And now we've invested too late and we're playing catch up. We should have invested when we were already up there and like fighting for the title.
Right, but okay, but who's to blame for the situation we're in this in terms of the squad being so supposedly or fractured or
that is to blame, because if we would have kicked on then, the squad would be in a much better place now. People like Eriksen would have signed contracts and be in a happier place. If we would have
he's been offered contracts, he's rejected them.
Yeah, he's rejected them because Enoch haven't backed Pochettino like everyone thought they would do. Pochettino comes out at the end of every season and is like, oh, we need to do our business early, we need to be brave, all this stuff at the end of every season. And one of those seasons, we didn't even sign one player. Like, how can you back a project that's like clearly the chairman is not putting enough into it?
Right, but in terms of the transfer dealings we did in the summer,
yeah, but it was too late. Like,
so
the players,
what could he have done in the summer then? Try and get that
I think it was too late by the summer. I really think it was too late.
How can it be too late?
Because we were at a stage at one point where we were better than Liverpool. Yeah. Now Liverpool are probably the best team in England as it stands at the moment. In the top two, definitely. We were pretty much on a level, better than them, or on a level playing field, whatever. They kicked on and we didn't, and that's why we're so far behind. And we stayed on the same level. If you stay on the same level, you go backwards in the Premier League.
Correct, I agree with that, and that's what we've been doing. But
so it comes to last season, and nobody believes in the project anymore because we're not getting better. We've stagnated for 2-3 years, and that's why things are the way they are. Because Toby didn't want to sign. Vertonghen didn't want to sign. Eriksen didn't want to sign. Rose probably is not going to sign. You know what I mean? All these players are not signing because they don't believe in the project anymore. The project has been and gone. We had our time and we should have kicked on when we had our time.
Right, but football is all in cycles, right? So sometimes you're on top, sometimes you're not. And obviously, as Alex Ferguson used to say, you know, each cycle goes in about 4.5 years. You have to start refreshing the team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this summer was his 6th season. Pochettino's 6th season at Tottenham.
Yeah.
So I know you could argue we invested too late, but we did sign Ndombele, we did sign Lo Celso. In terms of the personnel we have, it's not a bad squad.
No, 100%. We've got a good squad there, but we've got players that are unhappy, players that wanted to leave that are still there, and players that Pochettino wanted to get rid of that are still there.
Yeah, whose fault is that?
Well,
we tried to sell them. Eriksen, we tried to sell.
Well,
Toby had a release clause.
I don't know if you can put the blame on anyone for that specific thing, because you've got players that wanted to leave and no right bids came in, and you've got players that Pochettino actively tried to sell that are still here because because deals didn't work out for whatever reason. So I don't know who's to blame. Poch wanted a big refresh of the squad. I don't think he got what he wanted.
No,
it's clear to say that.
But in terms of the game yesterday, this diamond formation, which we've been playing a lot recently, and it hasn't been so fruitful. I don't know why he keeps persisting with it, because we're playing with these 3 centre mids, and it was great for the first half an hour, and we used up all our energy. But as soon as Bayern took control of the game, they just ran us ragged. They had us running all over the place. We couldn't get anywhere near them, and then once it got to those final few minutes, we were just dead on our feet. We were done. And obviously it's never good to give up, right? But is there some sort of blame that the tactics can have as a reason for why we fell apart so badly?
Well, you know, it's been pretty much how our season's gone this season. We've been playing well pretty much in first half of games. Something happens, we concede a goal in the last minute of the first half, and we just completely capitulate. Is it to do with the formation? It could be. I don't know what it is to do with. Is it to do with formation? Is it to do with their mental state? I don't know. Maybe it's both. The formation clearly isn't working at the moment.
No, and I don't. what does it bring us, this formation? I don't know what it brings us.
I think we should just go back to a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
With a defensive mid in there, because we're playing pretty much without a defensive mid. It's no. We don't
really have one. If you well,
we got Dyer.
I know we got Dyer, but we got Ndombele. But you wouldn't say Dyer is one of the better midfielders in that we've got, would you? We've got Ndombele.
I'm prepared to give Dyer another chance in the team. He was class when he was at his best.
Only because it can't really get any worse, really, could it? Yeah, he was but you say he was class at his best, but he continually got found out in the big games, even at his best. Continually, and everyone was complaining about him. And now, because he's been out for so long, it's probably one of those situations where people forget how he was when he was playing the last few times. He hasn't really been that great in midfield since the first season he broke into midfield. That's it. Honestly, that was in 2016. That's a long time
but he
ago.
can't be any worse than what we got at the moment. Well, our midfield is not the problem. That's the truth. The problem is the defence.
So leaky.
The problem is defence,
but you could argue this.
We do need a defensive mid in there. We do need a defensive mid there because, we were
do that role.
He can do that role. I'd prefer to have Soko a right back now. I don't know what. I'm done with Aurier. I really am. You know what I mean? Like, how many chances can we give this guy?
Yesterday was one of the biggest blows to his potential.
And I've been a massive fan of him, haven't I?
Yeah, you have. And he let a lot of people down yesterday. A lot of goals were coming down his side. Pretty much whenever they came down his side, looked like
I think 3 of those goals were that he was directly responsible for them.
Yeah, and Winks also gave the ball away quite a few times.
Yeah, that one of their goals, Winks just got robbed in just outside our box, didn't he?
Yeah. And
that was brutal finishing for Lewandowski, though.
To be honest, all their finishes were absolutely brutal. To be honest, for all the bad play from Spurs, and which was a lot of, let's no doubt about it, and for all the tactical mismanagement and everything, some of the football Bayern played was absolute. Not the football, but the finishing was absolutely. They had 10 shots on target and scored 7 goals. I mean, it's ridiculous finishing.
It's not like we didn't have our chances, you know what I mean?
Clinical.
Ndombele should have scored first half. Son should have got a couple more probably in the first half. We had our chances. As soon as Thiago came on,
that was it. That was over. It was game over. And it was what, to be fair, it was working for the first half an hour. But again, we used up all our energy.
So we came out like everyone wanted us to come out. The old Tottenham pressing, high energy, high intensity. You know what I mean? We came out exactly how we wanted to. But then after half an hour, we were basically given all we could give.
It's no surprise when Ndombele went off after an hour. He was dead.
He was class.
He was dead on his feet. I thought Winks as well. I could see. Did he get taken off? He got taken off at some point, but I could see he was dead on his. I remember turning to you. I said, "Winks is knackered." And before he got taken off, he was, because he's been running all over the place. And I think Pochettino has to take some blame in that sense, in that whether he just couldn't read the game management, or I don't know what it was, but he didn't rectify that situation. We were just getting completely overrun. Bayern were finding it so easy to play through us, and the having those 3 centre midfielders didn't help at all. And what that should do is help you get control of the midfield. And if you're not getting the control of the midfield, what's the point of having them? We're going to have a long, hard look at ourselves. But, I could say things like this should be a wake-up call to the squad and stuff, but Newcastle at home should have been a wake-up call. Colchester away should have been a wake-up call. So I don't know how many more wake-up calls I can say that we're going to have as a squad. So it's worrying. It's a worrying situation, I'm not going to lie. Look, I'm usually one to look at the positive side of things. I'm usually one to try and see the bigger picture. But the bigger picture is looking a bit bleak at the moment. That's the truth of the matter. I can't deny that. And unless things turn around very quickly, then it's just going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to say is, like, all these people that are saying Poch out. It's just like, what is the point? Like, the problems obviously stem higher than that. I don't think we can go any further than we have done under ENIC. I genuinely believe that. I think every time we've had a manager, it's always kind of gone, like, something's always bad happens at the end with ENIC, with every single manager.
Well, Poch is probably the longest serving manager we've had under ENIC.
Yeah. So sacking the manager might be like a short-term fix for like half a season or a season, but ultimately it's just going to end up the same way. So sacking the manager is not going to change a thing. So,
But you should know, even I know it goes higher, but even if you look at the squad situation, players wanting to leave who haven't left, players Pochettino wanted to get rid of, players who wanted to sign. How would getting rid of Poch change that situation? Is Eriksen going to sign a contract if Pochettino leaves? Is Toby going to sign a contract if Pochettino leaves? Is Vertonghen going to sign a contract if Pochettino leaves? Is Aurier going to become a world-class right-back if Pochettino leaves? Is Rose going to start caring, or not caring, but is Rose going to give better performances if Pochettino leaves? None of this is going to change. Like, Pochettino is doing the best he can, albeit I do believe he's got to look at that formation. I don't think it's working. But I do believe Pochettino's the right man for the job to take us forward. I think if he got what he needed from the squad in terms of the regeneration of the squad and a few more ins and outs, then we could be in a lot better position this season. So I can't see changing Pochettino helping us at the moment. It would be ridiculous to suggest that. It's so demoralising to lose 7-2. It was so embarrassing to have a defeat like that in such a big game and such a big night as well, in our new stadium where, a lot has been said, so how many times have we heard the excuse, it was Wembley, we haven't been back home. Well, we've been back home now, we've lost three games.
We're worse at this pitch than we are at Wembley.
Which is a big statement, it's true. It's true at the moment, that's for sure. And
we need to make this place a fortress again. And the fans need to help, because there's no point it getting toxic in the stands with Poch in, Poch out. All that doesn't matter, You got to support whoever's there at the time. Poch is in right now. The players are there. No matter who wants to leave, who wants to go, we need to support them on the pitch, because if we don't support them, they're definitely not gonna get the results. So that's all I can say, is just keep supporting the team.
What do you think? And what do you think now?
They need our support right now.
What do you say this season from this point? How do you think things go? Do you see us still getting out of the group?
Yeah, I think so. I think we can beat Red Star at home and Olympiacos at home.
Yeah. Still confident we'll get out of the group?
I think so.
Okay, so if we do get out of the group, what would you say? And then in the league?
So I'm just happy with go as far as we can in the Champions League, go as far as we can in the FA Cup, and get top four.
Top four. That's the best we can hope for. You think?
I think so. Yeah.
Do you think we'll achieve that?
I think so. I think the other teams, you've got Arsenal, who are poor. They really are poor.
Do you think we're lucky that the Chelsea, United, Arsenal...
Chelsea looking okay. I'm worried about Leicester. Leicester looking good.
You know what, Leicester, I tell you something, Leicester are looking good, but we'll have to see if they last the distance, because it is only 7 games.
We've said that about Leicester before, though, haven't we?
We have said that about Leicester before, bloody hell. But Watford last season, they won their first 4 games of the season, you know what I mean? And then
Leicester, they got a class first 11 there.
They do, but do they have the squad?
And they got Brendan as well, who does well.
But do they have the squad, though?
We'll see. When they won the league, they won it with 11 players.
That's also true.
Because you're forgetting they don't have Europe. They just go play Premier League, and that's it.
That's true. We'll see if they last the distance. But I think we might be helped in the race for top 4 in terms of the other teams might not be as good a quality as they could be, especially Man United. That's for sure. But we really have to buck up our ideas. I'm hopeful we can get. I'm less certain than I was.
The way it's going, it's going to be a dogfight for top 4. It's not going to be like, we'll finish 3rd, easy going. It's going to be a dogfight. That's what it's going to be.
Anyway, that's probably one of the most depressing post-match
let's hope
videos
it's
we've
not going
done.
to be as depressing this weekend.
But look, you can't be anything but depressed after a 7-2 loss.
I've been so down today. I've just been like snapping at everyone and just really just angry. Arguments. Yeah, literally.
It's not been pretty.
These Gooners won't start. These Gooners have short memory, because I'm pretty sure they lost like 10-2 to Bayern Munich when they were last in the Champions League. So whatever. Look, we move on to Brighton this weekend.
Yeah, do you reckon we'll have a reaction, or do you reckon it will be low on confidence going into the weekend?
There has to be a reaction. If they come out and they're low on confidence and they get another poor result, then we're in big trouble.
I wonder how Pochettino does it. Will he ring the changes, or will he...
Usually when we have a bad result, we do react. But we'll see. We move on to Brighton away this weekend. Check out for our predicted lineup content. That will come out on Friday. Like, subscribe, tell us what you think of last night and what actually happened last night. And as always, come on Spurs.